This week on Shalisa Marie Radio.
Like, they can get to that point of that their big moment. They can get to that point of like recognizing all these amazing things within themselves.
Yeah.
But like they're too busy either one, being ungrateful, two, watching everybody else, or three, just not sitting there long enough with themselves to recognize that they have things within them.
Yeah.
Don't do the work 50 to 75% of the way. Do it 100%
full
of the
throttle.
way. Like that is how you become the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because you're so committed to yourself that you refuse to sit down and just stare at the wall.
Yeah. Getting to the money like a savage. Spend them dollars on you when I have it. I might make a movie with a bad bitch. I'm gonna make a movie with a bad bitch. Shorty said she ate her rice and cabbage, but that ass so fat I wanna grab it. Yeah, I'm gonna make a movie.
Mic check. Welcome back to another episode of Shalisa Marie Radio. I am your host, Shalisa Marie.
And I'm your co-host, Patrice Deanna.
And I am at the table once again with I'm a Bad Bee.
What up, what up?
Talk to her nicely as usual. And also, we are joined at the table with an innovator, a creative director, a makeup artist, a stylist, a confident Black woman, Kerlita Johnson. You know, I didn't know that Kerlita was your middle name.
Yeah, how did you find that out?
I just like, I was doing my thing.
You really did your research.
But like, I just want to say her name properly. Bernice Kerlita Johnson. It's all in the name. It's important. So welcome to Shalisa Marie Radio. Thank you for being here.
Oh, that's so sweet. She called me an innovator.
Yes, you are. Yes.
What do you mean?
What?
I don't know. It's weird because I feel like I take myself in so differently than other people take me because I'm so used to me.
Yeah.
So it's just like when people give me these awesome compliments, I'm like, really?
Yes. You inspire me. And I'm honestly like honored to be at the table with you because you've inspired me in many ways. You've helped me quit my job that has held me bondage. So thank you for being here. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. Everyone who's watching, take out your notepads. Take out anything that you need to document this episode because it's going to be inspirational and educational and just all around great. So
it's
thank you again.
It's crazy because I remember when I messaged you that message that you're talking about, and for some reason, like my spirit, I just felt like I had to message you. Like I was like, I don't know if
it
she
changed
needs
my life.
this. I don't know if she's gonna think it's annoying, but I have to message her. And then like even when you responded, like I still felt like my spirit had more to say. And that's why I just
that's
kept
when
on
we went into the voice notes. Yep.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to talk about that one situation today as well. We're going to cover self-help, self-care, mental health, just chasing your destiny with what you have. So I'm like really excited to ask you these questions.
I'm nervous.
So we're just going to, don't be nervous.
I know. Once I start talking, I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be good.
I'm nervous.
What,
That's why I came here because I'm just nervous. So excited. I literally show other people your page. I could be like, yeah, like. This
and Brittany was so excited
because I've like literally been in like each other's presence like once.
Yeah.
Actually, but like I'm like I tell her I'm like this is my friend Kerlita.
It's weird because I feel like it feels like I know you longer than I know you, but like I don't know. I can't like when you have bonds like that with people. It's just flow. It's organic. It's just
it's natural. Yeah. It's meant to be.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna ever stop sending you memes.
Please don't. No, seriously.
Those are the best.
I love your tattoo.
This is like a good meme.
Exactly.
What do your tattoo say?
It says "Change the game, change the world." Yeah.
Period.
Innovator.
Yeah. Innovator.
Yeah.
Period.
See yourself. Okay, so we're gonna dig into let's go back to earlier this year in March. You threw an event called Elevate, where it was a panel for Black men who kind of struggle to be vulnerable, struggle to express their emotions, struggle to just like be expressive with themselves. They feel lost, they feel abandoned, and they just don't know how to express themselves. So can you just walk us through how you came up with that idea and why you think that Black men in specific struggle with mental bondage? And please don't be afraid to talk about the Black household and the Black community when it comes to mental health.
Yeah. Well, so with that event specifically, I co-hosted it with my friend Chris Lowe, and then also our male friend Zamore Johnson. And so it was actually a project that Chris and Zamore had first started, and then Chris brought me on. So it was just something that they were actually working on because of just like personal reasons and things that they were experiencing and stuff like that. And Chris knows that I'm very passionate about community. And so I remember we sat down and we kind of just had a conversation about like, you know, how we can bring something to the community specifically for Black men that will hold a space for them. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not even spoken about.
Yeah, it's one of those things that too, though, I remember when we were reaching out to people and some people said no because they're like, I don't understand why Black women are still doing the work, right? Because it was like 2 Black women. It was me and Chris and Zamor, the one Black man, right? So it's like, even in that instance, and we both looked at each other, we're like, oh wow, like we didn't even realize that like we're like, you know, we're still doing the work. But it was just one of those things that, you know, I think we just need to start, you know, I just think we need to start, whether it's, you know, the Black women doing that, but then also sometimes there are things that do happen that we just don't see. Yeah. And there are people that are having these events or doing these discussions, but they're just probably on a more like intimate, you know,
kind of just covering the surface level, maybe.
Exactly. And so I remember we sat down and we kind of spoke about it and just like how we could bring value to the community and in what way that we could do that. And that kind of just looked like, you know, having, you know, that the display of photography and having those pieces go back to touching with mental health. And then also with the panel, we wanted to make sure that we're not just having anyone on the panel. We actually wanted to have educators. And so that's why we had a social worker. And then we also had, I think I'm having a brain fart, but he was also a social worker, but he studied in something else as well. But it was a Black woman and a Black man that was on the panel. And so I think those two perspectives were also really fresh to have. And then we created a mental health self-love of gift bags. And obviously it wasn't to the full extent of like what we wanted it to be in terms of like all the things we wanted to put in there because like, you know, a lot of these community-based events are self-funded, right? And so it was one of those things that like we just wanted to give them something. We wanted to give them something, a start, and like just, you know, something for them to start to be like, let me go inward and let me do the work type of thing. Yeah. And the most beautiful thing about, you know, that entire event was just seeing how Black men showed up for each other. Yes. Because I wasn't expecting... I was not expecting, like, there were people, like, just pouring everywhere. Yeah. And, like, I think that sometimes what happens is that we don't realize so many people really want this stuff and so many people really want to have that discussion, but somebody hasn't started it yet, right? And so that's why I'm saying sometimes we just need, even if it's a Black woman, even that Black woman has to be me, at least I'm going to start it, right? And then you're going to be... Exactly. And then you just keep going. Like, and I'll be rooting for you along the way. You know what I mean? So it's just, but it was a really, really, really cool event. And like, you know, if COVID-19 wasn't a thing, we would definitely be, you know, looking to have another one in the same kind of time frame, which was, I believe, February or like March like 9th or something around then. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I want to continue.
Congratulations on even just starting that, because that's not done enough in our community, especially with Black men. I just feel like even down to like my cousins, my friends, I just feel like they're scared to be vulnerable. And then when they get older, like people question them as to why they can't express themselves. But honestly, it starts from a younger age. And I feel like in the Black community, mental health therapy is not a thing, you know? And I feel like we need to shed like way more light on that and just let these Black men know that like we are here for you. And like you can talk to us anytime to release, you know, whatever you feel. And go to therapy. Therapy is not a bad foreign word.
It's funny because I think a lot of people, I'm a huge communicator. Like I am so transparent. Like I just love like I do not have service level conversations. And like people are always curious how I, you know, came to that point. But I've been in therapy since I was in elementary school. Wow. Like I've been in therapy and like in and out of therapy. Right. And like those are for like different reasons, like personal reasons and all those different things. But I used to be a person that if you asked me how I was feeling, I'd be like, I don't know. Yeah. I'd literally just be like, I don't know. And that would be like, I remember for years until I was in high school, I'd say grade 9 going into grade 10. That's when I was like, this is how I feel.
Okay. And what made you get to that point?
I just realized that like, I think what memory always comes back to me is me sitting on like the steps, so dramatic, but me sitting on the steps in front of my high school and just being like overwhelmed with my anxiety and literally being hunched over like in a ball and just feeling that. And like, I felt like I was suffocating in that. You know what I mean? Like I was like, if I don't talk now, I'm going to constantly be suffocating, you know? And I think that was that was the thing for me, is like, I have to do it for me.
Yes.
Right. But obviously there's a process in finally getting to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
first step is acknowledging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So good for you.
Thank you.
A lot of people don't get to where you are. Like, I find that this is our first time meeting. So
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
nice to meet you. But I feel like you are very talkative and
Yeah.
like
I
you
try
said,
to be. Yeah. I try to be,
you don't
because
have surface level conversations.
exactly. I just feel like it's just a lot of the, like, how many times can we all be like, how was the day? How's your day? How was your day?
Good.
How are you?
Good.
That's it.
Good.
How are you?
But like, really,
I'm good.
I'm good.
know?
Good.
And then it
Good,
just stops
great.
there.
Yeah.
If you say you're good, it's okay. I remember I was talking to my friend the other day, and she said, someone asked her how her day was, and she said, "It's fucking shit."
And nobody's used to that
and
answer.
space.
But still, they're just like, okay. And kind of
Yeah.
just like let her
don't
go
even
on
care.
about her day.
Yeah.
So
Don't
she's
even
like,
care.
if I say I'm good, I'm still gonna get the responsive. If
Yep.
I say I'm
Yeah.
But I
you know?
also think it's kind of healthy, because I feel like, at least for me,
Mm.
like, even answering like that, like, how's your day question, like,
Mm.
honestly sometimes, and like actually being like, you know what, like, oh, like, maybe, like, say for example,
Let
you
me-
guys asked me how my day was. It was good. All I did was wrap presents, and it was like really great.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
had like
yeah.
such a good day. It was so nice. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to give everyone their gifts, like,
Yeah,
whatever.
For sure.
But like, and then come here, and I was like, great, I'm in a great mood. But like, whereas there's some days where it's like, nah, like, I had to like get myself out of bed, like, I had to do a lot to get here. And then somebody asked me like, how was your day? And I'm like, great. Like, you know, and I realized, I'm like, then it was only
Forgot the whole
damaging
process.
myself. Like,
Yeah.
every time it was like, I would just keep lying to myself. And I'm like, yeah, great.
Mhm.
Like, and then I would just like have this resentment and this like feelings towards people asking these questions, because I'm like, they don't really know that I'm
Mhm.
actually awful.
Mhm.
But I'm like, I don't.
And why
say
are you
it.
asking me more?
Yeah, and I'm like, but if I'm not gonna say it, then what do I expect?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I really
Mhm.
try now to like answer that question like so honestly. So like when
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
were like, yeah, today was fucking shit.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a
Yeah.
shitty day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna be honest, like, you know.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's like really healthy. Like, we need to do that more.
Yeah,
not
and
do
like
the-
ask
the
each
good
other how
thing.
you're feeling. Like, how are you emotionally today?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
you know, instead of
Yeah.
just like the basic, like, how are you or how's your day? Like, you work at like places and everyone's just like, oh, how are you? Good. And they just keep walking. And it's
Yes.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
okay.
asking men
Mhm.
that too, not
Yes.
just amongst
Mhm.
females, but men too. I feel like I get their same response from men as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
good. It's like, okay, tell me more. Like,
Yeah.
how's your home life? How's your family? Like, how are
Yeah.
you and your mom? You know,
Mhm.
how?
Did you have any interesting conversations today?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I almost feel like we have to be like, do you want to know the real answer? Like, when somebody asks, like, do you want to know the
Do
real
you-
answer?
do
Like,
you
do you
wanna
have
know,
space
or-
for this today?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love
Because
that. I love
addressing
that.
the other person.
you know, because it's just one of those things that it's like, I agree with you on that. Like, you almost gain resentment towards yourself because you're not holding space for yourself.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
almost like, it's like, you know, this is how you truly feel, but you're like, you're ignoring that.
Mhm.
And you're just pleasing whoever or whatever situation that you're in to like not talk about it. But it's
Yeah.
like, in
Oh
order
my
for you to
goodness.
like respect yourself more, you also have to hold space for yourself.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that looks like being like, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, because it's just not that great today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it might
You
also
know?
be you feeling you don't want to put the burden on that person too, telling
Mhm.
them that you're
Yeah.
having a
Mhm.
shitty day.
Exactly.
That's why you
And
ask
it's
that
And that's why you
question.
ask them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially like for me, like people that I'm not really close with, you're gonna know what I want you to know, right?
Yeah.
So I don't
Mhm.
want you to have this perception of me like, oh, like she gets mad at little things
Yeah.
or whatever,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
think that but that's a good point. Like
Mhm.
asking like making sure that person can actually accept what you're going to say and
Mhm.
have
Even
some constructive thing to say back. You
Yeah.
know, not
Yeah.
just, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
there's even the phrase that it's like, oh, like, do you want advice or do you want to rant?
Mhm.
Right? Because it's
Mm.
like, has a friend ever called you and they're like, oh, girl, da 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 da, and then it's like you give them a solution, you're like, da 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 da
But still, yep, right.
and it's like, you don't want advice, you
Yeah.
want to rant.
Exactly. And this is just going in circles. And I don't
Exactly.
have time.
I don't have
it
time
right
for that.
now.
Exactly.
And that's the
Exactly.
thing. It's like clarifying what you need.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, you know what? Right now I need to rant.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And you're like,
Actually,
all right, I
All
got
right,
time,
let's
baby.
go.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And it's also
Release.
knowing which friends to rant to because
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes, like some friends that I don't rant to because it's just like, well, this happened to me today, you know, and like, oh, well, I've been in your situation. This is how I handle it, and it's kind of just like I just wanted you to listen to
Friends
me,
like
Yeah.
that,
you know.
I do not keep next to me
No.
because like, it's almost a competition of who has it worse.
Yeah.
And we're
Those
not
are
going to
the
do that.
worst.
We're just not going to do
Drama
that.
friends.
The worst is when they're like, well, at least you don't have to do, and it's like, that doesn't help any individual in this situation when you try to do the whole comparing thing, like my situation is worse than yours. You know, like it doesn't make the person feel any better.
Because you're downplaying my situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's levels, right?
Yeah, there's levels for sure.
Yeah, I definitely can't I don't have people like that. I can't
It's
deal
so
with it.
annoying.
Yeah, I get mad at people who like lack in accountability. So I'm like, I'm like, because I'm gonna be upset at you, and I'm like upset that you can't do it. I'm just like, I can't.
I'm not even
you
gonna do it,
figure it out.
period.
You figured it out because it's just then I'm like doing work on you when I have to still do work on myself. Like I just,
we're not just like doing
honey.
our work together.
So,
honey.
okay. So you were talking about in elementary school how like you didn't really know how to like locate your feelings, right?
Yeah.
And I remember reading a post by you and you basically said like, I would cry for others, but I had a hard time crying for myself.
Yeah.
And that one touched me because I feel like a lot of the times as we grow up, like let's just start as a child. Like as a child, you don't think about how you look or your beauty or your looks or anything. You're just good. And then you kind of enter high school and you start looking at other people and you start comparing yourself. And then all of a sudden you get to a point where you're like, oh, like who am I? Like I don't even like what I am or what I look like. So, and then we build up like this guard of not knowing how to just be vulnerable and just like let go. So how did you go from rags to riches mentally, spiritually, and internally? Because like not being able to cry for yourself, but you can easily cry for others is like a huge blockage within self.
You said a point of like, oh, like when you're younger and you don't really compare yourself. I did. I was raised in Thornhill, which is a predominantly white neighborhood.
Okay.
So like what in my elementary school, in my high school, in my camps, I was always like the 1 out of 5 Black girl.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, and I'm not even trying to sound dramatic, but literally I would be picked like second to last or like last to be on teams. I had an accent at the time. So like I'd be like Pukun, and like I would like literally my accent was so thick that like people never wanted me to be in their groups, and they would always say like if you know how like when you're younger everyone talks about the class average and stuff like that, like this is what the class average is sitting at. So if it was ever low, like kids would always be like, oh, it's because of her, right? So like I literally got bullied like crazy, and like it was just like not a fun time in elementary school for me at all. So I actually did not like myself at all in elementary school. And then I remember I got to high school, and I had a situation where it was just like the same thing where I confided in like the wrong person, and I was like crying and stuff because I was so insecure. I was like, it was like the grade 9 dance, and we all got ready at this girl's house, and I was looking around the room and I was like, they're all so beautiful and I'm so ugly. And I went to the washroom, but I turned the tap on so no one could hear me, and I was crying because I felt like I looked so ugly. And then I remember one of the girls like knocked on the door or whatever, and then she could tell I was like upset, and I was trying to like not talk about it, but then ended up talking about it. Next thing you know, they comforted me, whatever. We get to the dance, and then that same girl told like every single person. So then all these people are just coming up to me and be like, you look really pretty. You look really pretty, like excessively, like, and just like, and it just made me feel like, like, wow, you guys think I'm really ugly that you have to tell me? Like, she needs to know. Like, and so I honestly, for a very long time, like, just did not like myself. And I just think that was because of the fact that, like, I wasn't picked. Right. I wasn't picked in class. I wasn't the best at like a lot of things because I was still like learning. I was like learning English, and then also
you're transitioning. You're literally in a whole new country.
And it's harder because you're Black and everyone else is white. So it's like, oh, you suck.
Completely
and,
different
like,
worlds.
We know because you're the one that's sticking out.
Exactly. And it was just one of those. Even I remember there was this one time, like in grade 8, I wore a weave for the first time. And you know, back in the day, they didn't have like lace closures or whatever. So you would just see the sew at the top.
Yeah.
And so like someone came and they saw it and they're like, what is that horse hair? And like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't stand being around white people with new hair.
Yeah. And after that, I like refused to wear like extensions or anything for like, so I was like, that's like, I became a person that would be like, that's ghetto. That's this. That's that. Like, I was that Black girl.
God.
I was that Black girl. I was ashamed to be Black. You know what I mean? And it's, I think maybe until I was about 18, because I'm turning 24 on Sunday.
Hey, happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
We're going to do a shot o'clock to that.
Shot o'clock!
Shot o'clock!
It's about time.
It is about time.
She's like, really? It's kind of past.
No,
Just kidding.
but I think it wasn't until I was about like 18 when I actually sat myself down, and like was just trying to figure out who I was. That's like that's when I started liking myself.
Okay.
That's when I kid you not, I sat on Google and I searched up the definition of self-love.
Wow.
Like I kid you not. Like it took. Because it was just, I was preparing myself for men. You know what I mean? Like I dressed for men. You know what I mean? I did my makeup and all that. I didn't love myself. Everything about me was for other people to say like, you are so pretty. You are so worthy. You are so this. You are so that. And it wasn't until like I literally, I cut all my hair off. Like when I was 18, like I cut all my hair off.
Can I interject right there? Why do you think Black people's natural hair is such a political statement?
Good question.
I think it's just because of the fact that it's like it's so different than what like their texture is and what they're used to. And I think anytime something is different than what society says or what is normal, there's something wrong with it.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's what it was. And again, right, like I'm the 1 out of 5 Black girls like in my school or Black people in my school.
And that's just one
and
example.
I can relate to you on that level, like where like you hated. Like, I didn't like myself. I didn't like my hair. Okay, I hated my hair.
I never knew that.
You know that. My hair was always in braids. But like,
I didn't know that you hated your hair. Like I would die for it.
Like that's why I was always perming my hair because like I wanted my hair to be straight like everyone else.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, like there was another Black girl that in my elementary school, and me and her were super tight, so we kind of like could feed off each other because she came to school one day and she had a red extension, like just one clip in piece, right? And I forget, like someone said something dumb, like, "Oh, is this your hair?" or something like that, and she's like, "No," but like. You could see in her face that she was like, "Why?"
Uncomfortable,
like uncomfortable to even say that.
Yeah, because you know it's not my hair.
Yeah,
like, I just came to school yesterday.
Exactly.
And you did it to embarrass me. You know?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. It's the same thing with braids, right?
Yeah, same thing with braids. I remember growing up in like the dance world. That's kind of where like I had to do like a very serious like journey of self-love, and what like that's when like I really flipped because like that was like my childhood, and like I spent all that time around all these like little white girls doing ballet, and like I just never looked like them. I could never do it the same as them. Like it was just everything was harder for me or just different for me, and like it was just so draining. And I had like one other Black girl who was like, you know, that I used to dance with. I was in my company, and we used to like kind of like go back and forth, but like regardless, like the entire studio like
was white.
They were all white. Like we were the only like competitive Black girls, so it was just like one of those things where it was like, okay, so like we're all gonna do for like this lyrical routine, we're all gonna do our hair like half up, half down, like whatever, straight, like
me cheerleading.
Yeah.
Half up, half down.
And so then we'd always be like me and me, and we're always like, oh, like, you know, look at each other like, what are we gonna do? Like, here we go. Yeah, because like we already know that we're like, okay, it's gonna be a competition day where we're probably gonna have to put our hair in a bun in the morning, and then literally have it out like in half up, half down. Like, are you kidding me?
We can't transition that back.
Yeah, my like, and then I was like, I need some time. Like, I need time. Like, if anything, I'm like, I need to rewash my hair.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
The gel's in there. Like, it can't fall flat like that.
Yeah, and so like it was always this like war, which was so interesting. Like now looking back, but it was like so draining because like it was always kind of like, well, what are you guys gonna do with your hair?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, like, I guess I can do the same thing. Because, like, back then I used to relax my hair. So I was like, well, like, I guess I could do the same thing. So, you know, I used to, like, very much, like, finesse it. But, like, Amia, on the other hand, like, just her texture, like, it just didn't work for her. Like, you know what I mean? So it was always this weird, like, well, like, she can do it. But, like, why can't you? To, like, my friends. And then I'm just, like, in a position, like, we don't have the same hair.
Yeah. Like, and then that can even be taken as, like, a shot at yourself. Right? At the same time.
And it was always, like, it was always this weird, like, I remember they'd always come to us with like different hair products even, or like hairspray. And like my mom would always say to me like, this is not for your hair. My mom would be like, oh, if they come to come with you with hairspray before you go on. Like, don't let them spray your hair because I won't be able to get it out and have it down for like the next routine. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So then I'd like go and be standing there and they just come with their like hairspray cans and be like, we want no wispies. And they're like, shh, like spraying. And I'd be like, oh my God. I'd like dodge them and like run away. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, you can't. Like my mom said I can't. And they're like, why not? And they would just like spray my hair.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then my mom would come back and be like, well, I don't know how we're going to get it down now. Like, it's not going to work.
It's not
like,
gonna work.
yeah. And then it's stiff. And then people are looking at you like, why is your hair like not?
Because you didn't listen to
Yeah,
me.
because you didn't listen to me. And that's the thing that's like, those things affect you, you know? Those things like take a huge toll on like your self-love, how you view yourself. And like, then you just got to like backtrack and do all that like work to like, you know.
Because like now I love my hair. My perm's out.
Yeah.
I don't perm my hair anymore.
Yeah,
we
same.
don't never touch the cream crack again.
Yeah. Never.
And you know, like it's just so nice. Like one day I can have it curly, one day I can have it straight, and like people are like people want to have my hair.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like it feels good to love it.
And also, white people, stop asking if it's our real hair or not. Honestly, we're in 2020.
But
we
black
know the
people
difference.
ask you too.
I know. Well, black men ask it sometimes. They're just like,
yeah, like so
come on,
damn
like,
nosy.
you are black.
Come on now.
One time, this girl was like, "Is that your real hair?" And I was like, "Yeah, isn't that yours?" And I already knew she was wearing a wig.
That's a good comeback.
That's good.
That's a good comeback.
Face. I knew she wanted to slap me. I would want to slap me, but I was just like,
no, good. That's a good question.
No,
exactly.
but really,
don't ask me
Mind
that.
your business.
Exactly.
Y'all.
Is that your
Come on.
real hair?
Just say that her hair's
the
nice.
touch.
First of all,
touch
don't
for me.
touch
Don't.
my hair.
Have you seen the meme?
Solange.
It's like, if people want to act funny, we could be hilarious.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are a different entity.
She thought she was coming funny with that one, and you're like,
I'm funny.
I'm funnier,
I'm
baby.
real.
She got choked up. I said, yeah, have a nice day.
So we're gonna get into the next question. We're gonna get a little bit less serious,
I
but
hope
more
I answered it,
motivational.
by the way, the rag to riches.
Yes, you did. You
okay.
did. Thank you for that.
I wanted to add, do you think like the way you were brought up had anything to do with you being like so closed off with yourself?
I definitely do. I think that, you know, I didn't really see that many positive representations of like black people and black women when I was growing up, just because like I just didn't really know where to look. And what's crazy is like when I started looking, my sister was watching 106 and like when BT was actually popping, that's kind of when I was like in my living room, like,
yeah,
Bump, bump, bump.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's when it started for me. But before that, yeah, because I didn't see that much of myself, and I was in like I came here when I was turning 7, and so it was just like going from back home, then coming here, then
so
learning. It was
different.
just so much
It's a
like
lot.
learning.
Yeah, that's a
That's
lot.
a lot.
You
As a
know?
child, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I was just confused for a very long time, and I just didn't really have a sense of self. And then, you know, eventually, like I said, when I got to 18, that's kind of when it started to make a little bit more sense, because I actually sat myself down.
Yes.
Like, you know, but
Press
yeah.
pause and
Yeah.
just, yeah.
I was like, let's just
You got to make that investment in yourself.
yeah, I was bawling that day too. I will never forget it. It was like one of my the first time I ever actually like lived in like a roommate situation. Kind of moved out, and I just sat on my bed and I spent the whole day like writing and crying. Yeah,
I think that honestly,
beautiful,
every
though.
black person, like correct me if I'm wrong, goes through that. Do you guys think that it's generational, the confusion that we go through? Because some people,
Oh, yes. 100%.
In what regards? Like,
just like, let's bring it back all the way to slavery, right? Today we don't know our history as black people. We don't know where we come from or customs and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we could say that we all come from Africa, but like,
we know
I'm
the
Jamaican.
the
I'm
roots.
Jamaican, so that's as far as I can go, right? But even in Jamaica, what is the history there, right? It goes back to
Way
slavery.
deeper. And
So
go ahead. Sorry.
I feel confused, like in my history, I would say. So I feel like as a person, I had to learn myself just as me, as a person, you know, not with a family background.
Your
whereas
ancestors.
my, let's say, Italian counterpart can go all the way back to their family line, or my Asian friend can go all the way back to her family line, you know? So,
and I think it's because of slavery.
Yeah.
Because like even our parents don't know. I doubt that they know like the roots of where they come from either.
Yeah.
Because
like
it was stripped from us.
My grandpa is white, so and he was a slave master.
Oh wow.
So she's like, so can somebody explain?
Yeah.
That's as far as it goes for me.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Wow.
Yeah. I think it is generational though. I think that like, I mean, I'll speak for myself. Like we've never spoke about mental health in my house. So like, I'm very sure that many other Black households have not done the same either. Maybe a few, but I feel like majority, we don't speak about our feelings in the house.
No, and that's probably where that comes from. Maybe like that disconnect is happening.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that we aren't talking.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it only happens until you're older to like actually get a sense of what's going on. But as a young girl, I can't even say that. Like, you know, I spoke about mental health like with my mom and my dad.
And that's also generational because
whether I have it or not.
For so long not to talk. So we just got a voice.
Yep.
Not too long ago.
Not
too long ago. You could count on your fingers how many years ago, right?
So crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I feel like, but even like last week we were talking with Jordan about heartbreak in a Jamaican home as a man.
Ooh.
And I don't want to put him on blast. A friend of a friend was saying that like when you're heartbroken in a Jamaican household as a man, it's like, why are you sad? You know, why are you crying? You make you cry. You know what they say?
Yeah.
That was a horrible Jamaican accent.
It's okay. We understood.
No, you know? So
we get it.
I think it's breaking that. Like for me, my mom, she's in social work. So I feel like talking about
Big
mental
up Connie one time.
was a bit more open.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, my stepdad at the time, he was very like Jamaican, you know, like just I tell you what to do. You sit, you eat, you sleep, you know?
Yeah.
So that created a lot of conflict within myself, I feel, because my mom was obviously she wanted to be there for me, I guess, but also wanted to please him. That's her husband, whatever. So I felt myself keeping a lot of things to myself at a point in my life because she would just go back and tell him. And it was kind of like, hey, like you're kind of like breaking my trust.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And you know, they take it as like a lot of parents take it as a personal attack when you come to them and you're like, you lack an accountability. They're like, excuse me.
Like, yes,
do you pay light here?
You know? You know, like my mom, sometimes I know I drive her nuts because I'll be like, I feel like there's several sides to this story, and I really want to say, I want to hear yours. I really want you to be able to hear mine, and then I want to see how we just kind of, you know,
meet in the middle.
Exactly. She says hers for an hour.
Yeah.
I think it's a Caribbean. She says
Caribbean
5 prayers.
thing.
5 prayers and God. And her explaining her stuff, and then when it comes to me, she goes, but, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then you talk for 5 minutes, and then she wants to jump in.
Exactly.
And continue. Let me finish my point.
But I'm like, okay.
And I feel like that's just like, that's the pattern. Like, I feel like there's no, like, same thing with my mom. Like, we definitely butt heads, like, a lot. And, like, we've had some, like, heavy, like, moments between us that we should probably, like, unpack a little bit more and probably have a healthier relationship. But it's just interesting because it's, like, the way that we communicate is just, like, I'm sitting over here being like, okay, like, let's all, like, you speak, I speak, then we come together. And there's just, like, my mom's just like, well, you know what? You don't have actually... And you can't say anything because you don't pay this light bill.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
what they go back to all the time.
Just, like, it comes back to like a weird, like, money. I think also money in the Black home is something that
this should be the title of this episode should be Caribbean Parents.
Yeah.
No, it should be.
Money is one that, like, it's I feel like also too, like, with my family, I've been independent for like a little bit now, like just because of, like, when I was 15, like, my family kind of broke apart, so then I ended up living with a friend and her family until I was about 18, and then I kind of went on my own. And with that, like, I've always just tried to figure it out on my own. Like, I don't even go to my mom for any money. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, I always like, I remember there'd be times I'm like, I think this year I've only asked her for $4. Like, and I remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like when she'll bring up things and like, and I'll be like, are you kidding me? Like, I genuinely don't ask you for anything. And I'll look at her, and my mom doesn't know what I do. Like, that's like, I was at the house the other day, and like we were having a conversation about something, and she's like, oh, like, don't forget your mom. I'm like, you don't even know what I do. You just know that I'm interesting because everyone else tells you that, right? Because my aunt follows me on social media, and my aunt loves to hear about my stuff, and my cousin loves to hear about my stuff. But she doesn't know.
Yeah.
But she just always assumes that like I have money to take care of her. I have money to do something for her, but she doesn't know what I do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's so interesting that like it's money. Like I used to think it was just like my family, but I know it's not just my family.
Yeah. And it's like even down to like when you're a kid and you like hear about like, I just know that like for me, like in my household, like I was always like hearing like the money disputes between like my mom and my dad. You know what I mean? Like I always knew that I'm like, oh, they're fighting because it's money. Like even as like a young like child, like that's what I knew. I was like, oh, money is like bad because it
causes problems or whatever.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Which made me, if anything, have like a really weird relationship with money where it just kind of like, you know, like I never thought like like, you know, the scarcity.
Mindset, you didn't know. I didn't know for a long time that you can get money in abundance. Like, you know what I mean? Like money is like, it is everywhere. And it's, I think it's not until this year when like, and I think as much as some people hate quarantine, I love it.
I love it.
I love it. I'm by myself. Leave me alone. And it's one of those things that like, I now am in a space with myself where it's like, I am too talented and I am too smart to not have money come flowing in my life. Like I just know it. You know what I mean? Whereas before, because I had such a limited perspective of what a lot of money looked like, and in order for me to actually attract that, I had to step out of that. Like that now, I feel like I'm just attracting things. Like
okay, so this is the perfect segment into the next question because I was gonna bring up, you know, the moment I posted that video of Sarah Jakes Roberts and you messaged me. I was in a time of like trying to figure out if I should quit my job or not. It did not make me happy. I felt like a slave to the system. It was not paying my bills.
Complained about it a lot.
Every day I complained about this job and I was just so scared to just like, you know, jump off the cliff and just see what God has in store for me. And when you messaged me and told me like basically just like trust in God and know that all things will work together for good. My question was, what do you think can happen when you have a limited mindset? And what happens when you change that limited mindset? Does it lead you into your destiny? Like, I just want you to reassure the listeners of that because sometimes you have to walk by faith, like, and just know, you just said an affirmation, like without even, you know, knowing your future, but you spoke it into existence. And as long as you believe, anything you want can happen.
100%. You know, some people talk about like faking it until you make it, but like honestly, that's you're setting yourself up for failure when you think about it that way. Like I feel like when I wake up, for me now, like I mean I started this when I was 18. Like I said, everything literally goes back to me being 18 and like sitting there. But I actually no, I'll dial it back a whole bunch. When I was younger, funny enough, I had a time where like I started looking at myself completely naked in front of the mirror. And that was like one of the first steps of me just getting confidence.
Doing that.
Yeah.
I do it today. So.
Hey, you have to every time. My roommate hates me because I'm always thinking.
Me too! Oh my God.
Bernice. I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like literally cooking food with
my mom thinks I'm an
that
exhibitionist in my other life.
It's so bad.
Definitely could see that.
Yeah, but I forgot the question. I was gonna make a really good point.
You used to look at yourself naked in the mirror.
No, the question.
Limited thinking leading you into your not leading you into your destiny.
Yeah, that. So that was one of the first examples of me just being confident in just myself, right? And then when I when I come like, you know, more now and stuff like that, I've just started really speaking life into myself, right? Because like I've just recognized that your mind is so powerful, and like, forgive me for sounding morbid, but like it has the ability to either make you the richest person or it can help, like it can make you kill yourself. That's how powerful your mind is. Yeah. That's literally how powerful your mind is.
Yes, thank you for saying that.
Because stress can kill you.
My great grandpa and I think my grandpa died from stress.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've just started to, when I wake up, I'm just like first thing I say, thank you, Father God, for waking me up this morning.
Yep. Amen.
Because
100%.
before anything else,
You're just
I am
talking about-
alive.
Yep.
I am alive. You know what
Give
I mean? And I
thanks.
think sometimes like we're like trying to chase this big moment in life.
Go,
And you're
go.
literally in that big moment. You just woke up this morning.
Yeah. This is
literally
it.
just woke up this morning. That's already a big moment.
This
Yeah.
is
right?
it.
And it's just like I feel like the way that you build on having a mind that is constantly expanding is recognizing having gratitude in the simplest things.
Yeah.
Like you have a working body, you could see, you could hear, you could feel.
got
You're
hands,
in
you
a
got-
warm bed. You're in a house. You're not sleeping on the street. You have money in your bank account. If you have a car, damn, you're better than me. I take the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like you have to look at what you have and just say thank you.
Be grateful.
And just say thank you.
Yes.
Right? And like I think once it starts from there, and then you could recognize things within yourself now because you are holding space to just be grateful, period. Right? And then now you're going to hold space for the fact that there are things in you that are sitting dormant that just need to be activated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as soon as you just sit there and you just feel that.
Amen.
You know what I mean? You feel that because every single person has they can get to that point of that their big moment. They can get to that point of like recognizing all these amazing things within themselves.
Yeah.
But like they're too busy either one being ungrateful,
Yep.
two watching everybody else,
Yep.
or three just not sitting there long enough with themselves to recognize that they have things within them.
Yeah.
Don't do the work 50 to 75% of the way. Do it 100%
Full
of the
throttle.
way. Like that is how you become the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because you're so committed to yourself that you refuse to sit down and just stare at the wall. You know what I mean? Like that's no, but honestly, and that's where I am because I feel like I could talk forever because I'm good at talking. I could talk forever. But until I like sat myself down and was like, you know what? In order for you to actually really see who you are, in order for you to activate the things that are sitting dormant, in order for you to actually even just like feel content. That's why I feel so content right now because like I'm holding space for things within myself.
Yes.
I'm holding space for me. And like I didn't do that before and I have to like God is pouring things in you all the time and if you want to receive it, you just have to allow yourself to activate that part.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't allow yourself to activate those things within you, you're going to be sitting there and when you win, I'm going to hate you. I'm going to hate that you won because I wanted to win so bad.
Yeah.
But because you did it before me, I'm mad at you.
But I opened my arms
exactly
to
when mine were closed.
and he gave you that too. And you know what? I just want to shout out God too because one thing about God is that he's so patient with all of us. He will knock on your door every day, every week, every month. You won't answer. Every other year, another year, patiently, still patient, kind,
without holding resentment,
without any resentment. And the day that you open that door, he's going to be like, "It is so," and he's going to bless you with everything that you've always desired, all the dreams that we get when we're sleeping and all of the things that we want to like become when we're older. We don't have those thoughts for no reason.
Absolutely.
God already planted that in us before we were even born. So anything you want, just leave it to God, surrender. Thank you. And he will bless you unlimitedly, like timelessly, universally. It'll go down to your children, to your children's children. It'll just continue going. So yeah,
but that's step one.
Yeah.
Remember we were watching I forget what it was. It was a video on Instagram and he was talking about faith. And the guy said faith is a verb. So which means sure, believe in God and stuff, but you also have to take action.
Yes,
you
action.
can't just be having faith
Amen.
and doing
Yeah,
nothing
just sitting
about
and
it.
waiting.
Yeah, like I want a car. Yeah, God's gonna give me a car tomorrow and not
work for it.
towards it. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
But
that's step one.
it makes me think about like people like how the key really is like gratitude. Like,
Yes,
100%.
gratitude.
And I think that for me personally, that's what totally shifted my mindset in the last like I'd say like 3 years. I definitely after university, I had to really just reflect because I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
No, like I
No,
would just that was my headspace. Like I was like, I hate all of this. Like I just I'm not happy. I don't even want to do it. Like that's how I felt. Like I was just like this whole like everyone's booping around, let's get a job. Like I was just like, no.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like I was just like, no, like nothing can make me like, and I was like, I don't know how to shift this into like, you know, like I could see people like doing it and I always was like rooting for everyone else, but I was just like, didn't know how to root for myself.
How did you find your way?
gratitude. 100% gratitude.
Keyword.
Like that, realizing that like I'm living the happiness. You know what I mean? Like this happiness that I was always like searching for. Like, oh, if I do this thing, like I'll be happy. If I do this thing, I'll be happy. Like my thing was very much like my body image, you know? And like for me, it was always be obsessing about, you know, my aesthetic. You know, it was always like I was working out because I wanted to like look a certain way. That was always and when I look a certain way, then I'll be happy and all the things that I want will come to me. Like that was truly like the breakdown, I guess, like subconsciously in my mind was like, yeah, like once I achieve this like physique or whatever it is, like
everything
then,
else will be great.
You know, men will find me attractive. Then I will get the career that I want. Then I will like, you know,
everything
all these
else
things
will be easy.
Yeah, everything else will
This
be
is the hardest
easy.
part of my life right
and then
now.
it was crazy because then I hit a point where like, yeah, like, you know, I lost all this weight and like I was like at a point where I was like, oh wow, like still kind of unhappy with my body, still wanted all these things, you know. I was like, oh, well, I want a fatter ass now. Like, you know what I mean?
You always want more.
It was always something, you know? And then I was like, what am I, like, doing this for? Like, you know what I mean? I was like, obviously, like, you know, people were starting to compliment me. People were like, wow, Brittany, you look so good. What have you been doing? And I'm just like, yeah, you know, just working out. And I realized I'm like,
go from there?
Yeah, then I was just like, oh, like, this doesn't fuel me. Like, I was like, I don't feel any better. I'm still unhappy about, like, this, which is like what I'm doing right now. And I'm like, how do I change that? And I realized I was like, everything is like right in front of me. It was just like I needed to like grasp and I needed to like let go of like, you know, thinking that what other people thought of me was what it was me, you know? I needed to really look inside and be like, what am I? Like, what do I want to be?
Most of the times, the things that you think other people are thinking of you, they're not even thinking about you.
And like they say, like, you are what you think, you know? Like, what you think the most about is what you are. And for me, it was like, all I was thinking about was like, you need to be this. Yeah. You need to be pretty. You need to be skinny. You need to like be this way, you know? Instead of being like, what am I? You know?
Who am I?
Who am I? And like, I started telling myself like truly like I'm smart, I'm confident, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, like you know what I mean. I started saying like what I am,
speak it into yourself,
you know, and like really believing that. And I think that's what shifted like who I really, you know, finding who I really was going to be, and
that's
like
so powerful because
putting
like,
me on that path, you know.
From what I'm hearing from you, it's almost like you fall in love with your spirit, like your essence. You're gonna fall in love with yourself. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if we only look at like what we look like as our source of like just feeling confident and moving, all that different stuff, like you're never gonna be happy.
Never.
When you fall in love with that essence, that thing that makes you Brittany, you're gonna be great. Yeah, you know.
Can we take a shot to that?
Yeah.
Shot o'clock.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because no one's gonna be you.
Nobody's gonna be anyone else. That is your power.
When you have like those envious feelings, and I just want to speak on this, like because I think we're like, you know, Instagram and social media and stuff. Like I feel like that was something that really changed my perspective too. Was realizing that like I'm not in competition with anyone else because no one is me. You are not me. I am not you. So like we could literally do the same thing. We could literally be like, we want to do the same thing every single day and it will never still be the same. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Instagram is all highlights, and that's why I feel like on my story, and even just sometimes even on my page, like I will post beautiful pictures, but I'll also go looking mad ugly. I'm a full auntie, and I don't care because
I had to learn that.
Yeah, like it's not
about the outside.
It's not
because it's like
it's not about the outside.
You look like this, and you can clearly
and you
see
still
that
are in love with me.
Yeah. What does it matter?
That's a fact.
I already said congratulations to my husband, whoever he is.
Facts on that.
That's beautiful. I should do that. I should do that.
Yeah.
Is it shot o'clock?
Shot o'clock. Me and my tea.
Shot o'clock and tea o'clock.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh God.
Oh God, right?
Oh wow, so strong.
Okay, yeah. Since we're talking about Instagram, I wanted to ask you.
Oh.
I just personally, I feel like I've been going through this like journey and like with a better relationship with social media because I know it's like that was the thing. It was like I always had this like back and forth of do I just like dead the whole thing or like take part in it, and how do I take part in it in a healthy way?
Yep.
And so in trying to figure that out, I feel like I really learned something from like the way that you present on social media.
Let's talk about it.
Like, your pictures are fire.
Yeah, when your
Let's
pictures are
talk-
fire,
Go
you
follow
are so
her,
talented.
guys. We will put her.
Can we
in
please
the
talk about the
description.
freedom dancing? I don't know the name of the dance.
The dancing,
but
okay.
Wow.
Like, let me just, first of all, the dancing one inspired me so much as someone who grew up dancing and somewhere along the lines, like, lost that fire in me. And it was, like, genuinely, like, hard for me to, like, want to do it. Like, it was just, like, so, which wasn't who I was. You know what I mean? Like, I love dancing. So I was just, like, watching your videos. I was like, wow, like, you know, she just, you know, doesn't care. Like, you know, she just is posting and it's not for anybody else. And I think the most important thing that I realized was, like, the fact that you have your comments kind of off, and, like, sometimes you'll post
People come at me.
Yes, but sometimes
I'm literally in my DMs like, what are you doing?
And like you'll have sometimes, like, your replies even on, like, your story, like, when you post, like, your videos dancing off. And I just think it's like at first I was just kind of like, you know, like, why does she do that kind of thing? Like, so many people would, like, just, like, have so much to say, and, like, they probably want to comment. And then I realized, I was like, that's kind of beautiful, though, at the same time, because I'm like, I think that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, you're using an outlet to express yourself, regardless of what anyone thinks. And, like, that's where I was like, wow, like, this is how the platform needs to be used. It needs to be a stage to showcase, like, your art and showcase your creativity, but, like, you shouldn't feel, like, impacted by what other people say and therefore post something different, or, you know, to curate to whoever's following you. Like, it's not about that. So my question, I guess, is to you, like, how, like, what was your thought process in that? Like, you know, like, just do let me turn off the comments, like, you know, what, like, how did you just go into that? Like,
I think two things. One being, I just didn't want it's so easy. Like, first of all, my ego and just my insecurities can easily just love the validation and just need the validation. Right. And so a part of me holding space for myself is just recognizing that, you know, if I have those comments on, and I will let them get to me. I will need them sometimes if they're not there, and it's gonna bother me, you know. And so, like, if I could even turn off likes, I would. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's just not really about that. And so that was one of the main things. It's just like, I just didn't want the validation, and I don't want the validation because I think it should only come from me.
Yourself.
Exactly. Or, like, if it's, like, something that has to do with, like, business now, you know what I mean? And that's another thing is, like, now when people do message me, it's like they're messaging me for a job, or they're messaging me like, you know what I mean? And it's less like a whole bunch of comments that really
just long talking.
Yeah. I don't necessarily need
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
that's what
like,
it is. It's just
and
for,
then you're
like,
just
applause.
like all them, and it's just like
Reply to
It's the same
exactly.
thing.
And honestly, lately, that's been, like, a real struggle of mine. Is, like, I've found this, like, you know, like, self-love and, like, what I like doing. So I've been, like, producing a lot of different, like, content. But then now I'm starting to, like, realize I'm, like, having this anxiety about, like, you know, getting all these interactions and things like that, and feeling like I need to, like, respond to people.
It's a lot of pressure and anxiety.
And I'm just like, how do I manage that? Like, I'm just like, how do I seriously manage this? Because it's going to get out of hand. Like, I know it. I can feel it in me. That I'm like, I'm going to just, like, check out at some point because I'm not going to be able to handle it. Like, what do you suggest to even anyone who's like in entertainment and is, like, uses social media? How do you manage that, like, engagement, you know, like
overwhelming engagement,
but also, you know, being networking and trying to, like, make connections and, like, find a job with people and work with people, because like, that's the beautiful thing. I've made a lot of connections, but it's hard.
One thing I will say, I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes I think people think I'm more popping than I am, because I will sometimes get, like, 20 likes on these videos, and, like, because Instagram hates me, but that's all.
Instagram algorithm. People know you in real life.
But honestly, it's one of those things that I would say, like, you know, asking yourself, like, what are you posting for, and why you're posting it? Just because sometimes I think that, like, I could be in a lot of pain, and I could be very stressed, and I could want to be real petty, you know? And so I try to channel that emotion somewhere else, those emotions somewhere else. And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of the times you'll see on social media, people will be posting things, but there's, like, a lot of, like, subliminal attached to it, right? So it's just, like,
talk about it.
Exactly. So it's just like, do that work offline as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like, posting something that bought art out of that online, you could do that. Just because I think that's a healthy way of holding space for your emotions and not really, and taking yourself seriously. You know what I mean? Another thing is I would say like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's great that people are interacting with your stuff and commenting and all that stuff, but like, you don't owe anyone anything. You know what I mean? Like, and I posted about this the other day.
That's when I'm really beaten down.
Because like even down to like posting stuff, right? Like Marketing 101 would say like, oh, make sure you reply to, if you have 60 comments, you need to reply to 60 comments because you want those people to come back. But it's like, what if why can't I just write one general thank you message instead of replying to each person individually?
Yeah, but if you don't, like, my thing is anytime it becomes a thing where it's like you are stepping outside of yourself to accommodate for others, that's when I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that, right? And so that's the only thing is like, if you have time and if you genuinely want to respond to all these comments, absolutely. But if you're stepping outside of yourself just to hold space for everyone else but you, that's when it's just like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like if you have the time, like, and it's like, it's not taking from you. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So for our viewer question, what is something you enjoy doing again and again?
Farting. I'm kidding.
Me too. Yo, have you ever had a fart that cured your stomach ache?
Listen, I'm so afraid. No, I'm
not.
On
some real.
I might have. I've had a burp that like made me feel better.
I think you're my soulmate.
I think so.
Oh my gosh, me too.
What is that thing? It's like pizza.
She said farting.
I'm dead.
No, but I actually have a thing.
It's oddly satisfying.
It's I have a thing, and I honestly don't care if guys are looking at this like ill, because
deal with it. You fart too.
Natural.
But I have a thing where every morning I fart. Like I fart like
it's a ritual.
Literally every single morning. So I'm like, this is why I'm like, I don't know if I want a boyfriend, because every morning
you'll be okay with it.
It's a morning fart. Like, it's just
Definitely. Okay, we have one more question because I don't want to go too long. But what is your why, ladies? What is your why? This is a I had to think about this because you don't really think about this. What is your why in life? What is your why in what you do? It could be anything.
What to think?
Because it has to be. Can I like?
So I'll start.
Yeah. You go
for
first.
me, like I was thinking about it. Honestly, I just discovered my why like recently. Over the years, I've had a tough couple of years mentally, so I haven't really been in the space to think about my why. But now that I am in like a clear space, I feel like this is such a blessing. Just like this whole studio, just even being blessed with the ability to just like talk. And hold space for others, and just being able to like give other people like inspiration, not just from me, but from other people that have wisdom as well. So, I mean, for now, I feel like this is my why. That will probably turn into another why. But right now, like I feel so clear mentally. I feel so clear spiritually. And I feel like I'm in a space that I can actually serve others, not just by myself, but with you ladies and other people that are blessed to be on this platform as well next to me. So that's my why.
I feel that for you too.
Yeah, me too.
I know that you're so
aligned with what you're supposed to do.
So aligned.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you. It makes me happy. No,
what
it does.
What is your why?
What is my why? I think my why is still developing.
Sorry,
but right now, my why for the field that I'm in, it kind of changed because my why was because I wanted to help people with their problems, specifically in family and marriage. But my why now is because I feel like people with autism can live a normal life. And working with them these past 3 years.
It's been a while.
3-4 years. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely taught me a lot of patience. If you know me, I'm very impatient. Younger child syndrome.
Yeah.
But definitely a lot of patience, and I look at them as regular people. You know,
Yep.
I discipline them like a regular person, and I reward them like a regular person too. You know, I feel like I've learned a lot from them because they're so smart, but they're all different in.
They're different on the spectrum.
Not even different, like different individually. You know, like you won't meet the same person with autism, and I feel like we say that, but like that's with anyone. Like what we were saying, you know, like I can't be you, you can't be me, right? It's the same thing with them, but I feel like they get grouped together as one
people,
like based on their diagnosis, which sucks, you know. So I feel like they get overlooked in a lot of other areas of life. But just watching them develop, and it's only been 3 years, and I feel like the clients that I've worked with have had so many gains, and like it's just such a. I feel so honored to be a part of their growth. You know? So I feel like their growth has also helped me grow.
Yeah.
And so that's why I appreciate, you know, some days are rough. You know? But I definitely do it for the reward. And
serving people.
Right now.
Yes.
Yeah, for right now. But I think like your why can change. Like
it can for sure.
And I guess there's different like levels to it. Like I feel like when I think about what my why is, like everything that I do, what it always comes back to, I think is like you said, like helping people, I guess, but in the way that I feel like for me it's like just it's always been about like joy and like laughter, like, you know, so like that's always been like what's helped me through anything in my life. And I feel like it's my why is to like show people that like that alone can get you through literally anything.
Make beauty out of pain.
Yeah, making beauty out of pain, I think.
Yeah. I definitely feel that for you because you are hilarious.
So funny.
You're so funny.
If you're having a bad day, go check
her. I swear, anytime I have a bad day, Brittany, period.
Yeah, I think that's definitely my why. Is just like continuously just spreading joy. I don't know.
Yep.
In any way I can.
Beautiful.
100%.
Yeah.
100% I feel that for you. Because I'd be telling you to log off all the time.
Yeah. Really?
I'm like, log off right now.
I'm going to take your phone away.
Really?
I'm like, take it away.
Literally.
You're real.
But I think for me, I don't even like have a concrete answer, but what I will say is like I'm a spiritual person before I'm anything else, and I always have felt like God just like literally right here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I just feel like I'm so committed to community, to serving, to people in general, because I just feel like that's what God would do. You know what I mean? And I just feel like very connected to that. And I've always felt connected to that. Even when I was like younger and stuff like that, I was in preparation, and I was like still kind of going through a lot of things to kind of, you know, get me to this point where I feel like I'm ready to take on more and do more. Just because I was thinking, like even today, actually, I was like thinking about why, like what really changed. And I feel like now what really changed more than anything is that I'm no longer putting a bunch of my own things and insecurities into me serving people. I'm just serving. You know,
that's a huge one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So I think I'm gonna be dedicated to in so many different capacities because I don't even know what I do at this point. But I think I'm always going to be very, very dedicated to people, to community, to just like trying to change the game, change the world.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah, I
Period.
feel that too.
That was like I was corny.
That was
but I
a
like,
great
it worked.
That was great.
Nice segue.
Thank you, ladies, so much for coming on another episode of Shalisa Marie Radio. This was an amazing conversation. I feel like it helped all of us, like even just learn about ourselves and our growth and our progress, and be proud of ourselves, big up ourselves one time. And thank you, Kerlita, for coming on this platform. Shout out to Brittany, as usual, a regular guest. And we will see you next Thursday.
And we out.
We out.